Desert riding. It's quite different to typical enduro riding. This is our first ever ride in Australia's outback, so we figured it was a good time to cover some tips for desert riding. Riding technique. The most important thing is to ride within your limits and expect the unexpected. Hidden rocks, soft sand, unstable rocks, riding off cliffs. If you are seriously injured, it could be hours before emergency services can reach you in the desert. Imagine a worst case scenario and ride accordingly. Riding in soft sand. Stand on the foot pegs and keep your body weight to the rear. Avoid using the front brake and slow down by reducing throttle instead. Relax and let the motorbike move around. Don't try to over-control the steering. Riding in sand usually becomes easier with speed. Your wheels ride over the sand instead of sinking into the sand. See our training vid about soft sand techniques. Riding over rocky ground. Your riding technique is quite similar. Stand on the foot pegs as much as possible. Your legs act as extra suspension and you can control the bike better. Keep your weight to the rear, keep the front wheel light so it will be deflected less by rocks. Use more rear brake than front brake if traction is poor. Ride in a higher gear to lower the engine revs. This gives you more control over the bike and lessens the chance of rear wheel spinning on loose rocks. See our training vid about riding in rocky terrain. Stay out of the dust as much as possible. This was great advice from our lead rider. One rider ignored this and rode straight into a gully with serious consequences. You want the best vision possible in unpredictable terrain. If you want to stay close to a riding buddy, just ride off their rear quarter and let them know you are there. Motorbike setup. If you use tubes, lower air pressures make a big difference in soft sand riding, but increase your air pressure for rocky terrain to avoid punctures. Thorns can be a big problem in some deserts. Some riders use mousses to remove the issue of punctures, but these generally wear out too quickly to be useful for adventure rides. If your bike uses tubes, the tubeless system can make puncture repairs much easier, as you can just use tyre plugs. A tyre sealant, like slime, is another possibility, although not always 100% reliable. It works for tubeless tyres too. Ultra heavy duty tubes will reduce the chance of punctures a lot. See our video comparing the pros and cons of mousses, tubes and tubeless. Air filter maintenance. Even if you try to avoid dust, your air filter will probably become dirty rapidly. Maintain it well, ensure it's fitting properly. Consider using a type of sock over your existing air filter for extra insurance and easier cleaning. Steg pegs. These are a great idea for desert riding. The rubber pucks hold your boots in place and it takes a lot of strain off the upper body. Perfect when you will be standing on the foot pegs a lot. Every motorbike in our group had these fitted. These were originally made for enduro bikes, but the range has been extended to larger adventure bikes now. Steering dampers. These are probably a good idea if you spend a lot of time riding desert terrain at high speed. They reduce the amount of handlebar movement in soft sand and rocky terrain. Experienced riders often don't bother fitting steering dampers, especially if they only ride in deserts occasionally. But I must admit, it worked well for riding in soft sand at speed. Tyres. There is a huge range of options available. Do your research. Generally, you will want an aggressive tread pattern for soft sand. Try to get a tyre with stiff sidewalls and strong construction to deal with rocks. This type of tyre will not handle well on the road and it will be noisy, but there are always compromises. Opt for better off-road performance for desert riding. Suspension setup. Soft sand it can be worth increasing the compression and rebound damping at the front and rear. You can also increase the sag at the rear for more inline stability. Rocky terrain, if your bike is reacting harshly, try decreasing the damping by a few clicks. Motorbike protection. If you mainly ride in soft sand, you can probably keep your motorbike light and not fit too much protective gear. But for rocky terrain, a set of handguards and a good skid plate are your basic minimum. If you are riding in very remote areas, you may want a lot more protection to increase your chances of riding home after a crash. Toolkits and spare parts. Again, if you're riding in remote areas, you may need a comprehensive toolkit and range of spare parts. If you like to live dangerously, just carry the toolkit of champions. In our video about toolkits, we cover the options from basic to comprehensive. Carrying a lot of gear, remember to spread this around your riding buddies so you carry less in your backpacks. What about rider protection? If you're riding in remote areas, consider wearing as much protective gear as possible. Carry a first aid kit. Ensure you and your riding buddies know some basic first aid. Carry enough food, water and clothing if there's a chance you will spend a night in the desert. Communications. Does your riding group understand the corner marking system? Do you have contingency plans if someone goes missing? Is it worth looking at rider comms? There are also emergency communications to consider. If there's a serious injury, think about how you will contact emergency services and communicate the location. Riding in hot conditions, wear the most ventilated gear possible. Be aware of the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Consider carrying electrolytes. But again, remember the worst case scenarios. If you have to spend a night in the desert, how cold can it get? If you are riding alone, this means being extra careful with all your preparations. It becomes very important to notify others of where you are going and letting them track your position if you get into trouble. We have an entire video about tips for solo riding. Get into it. Do you do a lot of desert riding? Have you got any horror stories where everything went wrong? Let us know about any extra tips. As always, we will include these in the pinned first comment of the YouTube video.